Hello everyone, welcome to another video on the channel, welcome to another Gran Turismo 7 opinion piece. This is going to be my quickfire take on the recent state of play that featured around about 30 minutes worth of Gran Turismo 7 gameplay and footage. And there's probably about 150 million of these out there, so if you've taken the time to swing by to listen to what I've got to say, then thank you very much. I do appreciate that, it means a lot to me. As I said, I'm not going to drivel on for too long, it's only going to be around about 10-minute video, tell you what I like, what I didn't like. But before we get to that, I think there is a little bit of an elephant within the room we need to address, because when Gran Turismo Sport came out, it very much, in my opinion, kind of created two fan bases of the game. You've got the old school traditional Gran Turismo fan base who like all the kind of used car dealerships and tuning and all the kind of little quirky stuff that comes with a Gran Turismo game. And I think GT Sport almost created a new fan base who are very much into this online element, having sort of matchmaking stuff like that. Very much a streamlined online experience. I must say I probably fell within that category. I kind of fell out with the whole GT campaign experience in GT5. Only really played a couple hours of the campaign there and then very much just really online raced, and then never actually picked up GT6 after that. So bear that in mind as you listen to what I've got to say. I very much fall within that category of looking for that online side and the sport mode side that came with GT Sport. But the first thing from the state of play that kind of jumped out to me was this kind of mention of being able to kind of customise your own AI races or custom races with your own AI and weather. Hopefully there's going to be a lot more options on that as well. One thing I did notice from the footage here is there's actually two Porsches. We've got the new livery and the old livery. So does that mean the new livery may well be a new Porsche? We don't know. It's very hard to tell any Porsche from another. But yeah, that was kind of maybe the first thing that stuck out to me. Next up was obviously when they touched on the online side. Now they didn't touch on the sport mode of the online side very much. Obviously, maybe something we'll touch on a little bit later on with a video before release. But we've got this kind of meeting place, which, you know, I know that's the kind of thing that people like. And then they did touch on sport mode. We've got Daily Race A here. Maybe a little bit of controversy here with the PP points. I do remember the PP points from Gran Turismo 5. They kind of worked. I don't know how much well they'll work for online racing and kind of balancing the cars. But they did kind of work when you kind of set up your own kind of custom online races. And here we are finishing off with a little bit of a Group 3 race around Interlagos. A sport classic, I reckon, it'd be fair to say, in the cockpit here of the new Audi, I do believe. Next up, what I liked was obviously the time and weather simulation. That was probably the most interesting part of the video for me, because there's a fundamental change to the game, something we've never had in sport mode in Gran Turismo Sport, so it feels like a fundamental, an absolute new feature. Now I know people say, yeah, well, we used to have it in the old games as well, but yeah, you know what I mean. It's going to feel like something fresh and new when I pick up Gran Turismo 7, and it seems like quite an interesting implementation, if you ask me. Still questions to be asked on exactly how it's going to work and what tracks it's going to work. I think I did read somewhere in GT Planet that every track is going to feature a kind of simulation of the time of day between morning and evening, and certain tracks are going to have a 24-hour cycle, but it remains to be seen exactly how that is implemented and how well it works as well. But yeah, all the mention when they were kind of talking about the wet weather and the sort of the particles in the air and stuff is going to affect the engine power and all that all seems quite interesting. The strength of the slipstream as well, all quite interesting stuff, I must say. So yeah, very interested to see how this is implemented, and as I said, probably the most interesting part of the state of play for me. Although I'm not entirely sure what the fascination is on stars. I don't actually ever remember stars featuring that much in previous Gran Turismo games, but yeah, they did talk about stars for quite a bit of this little bit of the video, didn't they? Now, as interesting as that is, it's going to be, I think the big question is exactly how it's going to play a part in the game. Now, I can see why it would play a part in single player. Obviously there might be slightly longer races. They usually have an endurance championship, and so it would kind of make sense. But in terms of how it would be implemented into sport mode, you really need much longer races, I think, than 20 minutes to really kind of make this a feature worthwhile. They do show some footage here which appears to sort of basically show around about 2 or 3 laps around Tsukuba with the weather changing completely, because if you notice the shadow under the Dunlop bridge, it doesn't change at all. So it's definitely not a time of day change. This is just a weather change that they're showing here, which it looks great, to be honest with you. I really like this kind of what they were saying during this part of the video about the drying line affecting the grip and the moisture in the air affecting the engine power and stuff and all that. All sounds very, very good, but one thing I have learned over the years is that any kind of racing game you listen to, they kind of say they're going to implement all these kind of incredible weather features, and it turns out never to be quite what they promised or advertise on the box. So again, as I said earlier on, it looks really nice the way, the visuals here, we can see the drying line and stuff like that. It really does look interesting. And I said, certainly a fundamental change. Maybe what they would say is a game changer, this one, because as I said, it could really have a massive impact on how races are going to play out. I just hope in sport mode they have a kind of race that kind of justifies this kind of weather, and it's not just kind of all seasons, all weather crammed into a 10 or 15 minute race. Next up, they spoke quite extensively about car physics and how that's going to work with the DualSense controller. All sounded very good if you're on the DualSense. I've got to admit, I think the DualSense controller is quite nice. The haptic feedback from any of the games I've played up till this point has always felt quite nice as well, so it will be interesting to see how that's implemented. But as a wheel player, I just hope that they've given as much thought and processing to kind of giving that feel through the wheel as well. I do like GT's physics, to be honest with you. I will welcome any improvements. I hope they don't go too overboard and kind of get lost in things like slip angles and all the little minutiae detail that other games do. I don't think that's really Gran Turismo's kind of thing. I think it's always been about an accessible handling model, so hopefully they don't kind of go too in depth, because sometimes I feel when I'm playing maybe something like iRacing or Assetto Corsa or Competizione, and there's a little bit more going on and stuff. I'm just not entirely sure I enjoy driving them as much. Whereas with GT Sport, you always feel like you're on top of the car, or very often on top of the car. So I would welcome an increase in the physics, just kind of a little step closer. Definitely more road feel. I think that's always a thing that's lacking a bit. You don't really feel the road as much as I would like to in the game. But they're saying all the right things here, and when they kind of showed the CFD simulation model, I don't know if they've already shown that or whether that's still to appear here. They were showing that. All seems like very interesting stuff. So again, certainly a positive I'm taking from the state of play here. But really, to be honest with you, that was it. That was really the only things I took from the state of play that kind of made me sit up and take notice. There was lots of things in there. They kind of spoke about lots and lots of different things. Used car, dealerships, GT Auto, changing the oil, customisation. I don't mind customisation too much. I do like to turn road cars into race cars, so I do welcome that. But things like music rally and music replays and all that kind of stuff, zero interest, I have to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to be majorly interested in any of the campaign stuff as well. The license tests, if the license tests are quite tough, they're quite hard, then you can get a bit of replay value out of them. But I'm pretty sure the old campaign mode's just going to be very similar to what they did in previous games. And as I said, in my opinion, that kind of gameplay died out a long time ago. And I just don't see the appeal for it. Don't get me wrong, I know there's plenty of people out there who do like all that kind of stuff, and are going to welcome a lot of this stuff coming back. And if you are very much a traditional Gran Turismo fan, and I think there's loads of stuff in here to keep you happy and get you excited and build up the hype for the game. But for somebody like myself, who it was all about the sport mode, all about the online and stuff like that, there wasn't really a great deal of information in there to sort of build the hype, I guess, or get me too infused. Don't get me wrong, I will buy this game, I will get a lot of enjoyment out of it, but I'm just hoping there's a little bit more revealed around the sport mode as we get closer to launch. And to be fair, there's not a lot of changes needed to sport mode to really kind of evolve it beyond what we've got now. It's not something that would take a massive amount of work, it's just whether they've kind of listened to what people are saying out there, and they don't have the best track record for that, let's be fair. But that was my take. That's my quickfire take on the Gran Turismo 7 state of play. Hopefully you've semi-enjoyed what I've had to say there. If you have, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, let me know what you think down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.